Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week...
Ave Maria. Well, hello there.
Hi.
Welcome. Have a seat.
Join us.
We've been expecting you. Here we are. We're recently
back.
logged.
A dinosaur tale.
we're
Wait, no, it's a
uploading
dinosaur
again.
story,
Micah, dang it, you messed up the joke.
No, it sucks. It should be a dinosaur tale. Like, that makes sense. It's a pun.
You want it
it's
to be
funny.
A pun. The movie is not funny.
The movie
is one
is
of the
not
most
funny.
disturbed movies of all time, maybe.
It's terrible. Anyway,
here we are.
we're back with the Batman.
Yeah, we're talking about the Batman this week.
Talking about movies again? That's
Talking about
crazy.
movies, if you can believe it. But anyway, I'm Robbie,
And I'm Micah,
and together we form
the collective known
the
as...
collective. Okay, yeah.
You're supposed to say recently.
Oh yeah, recently logged. Yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about the Batman this week, the new superhero movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go over what you need to know about it before we start talking about
what you need to know. All right. So the basic facts about the Batman are that it's a 2022 film.
Indeed
Mouthful.
It is. 2022 film.
It's rated PG-13. It is 2 hours and 56 minutes. Its little IMDb description is: when the Riddler, a sadistic serial killer, begins murdering key political figures in Gotham, Batman is forced to investigate the city's hidden corruption in his... I had to click more. This is how long this thing is. This never happens.
Wow.
City's hidden corruption and question his family's involvement.
It's like 2 sentences. Why is it?
I don't know why I had to click more.
But anyway, yes, that is the plot of the movie.
Its cast features Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright,
Yeah.
Colin Farrell,
Yeah.
Paul Dano,
Yeah.
John Turturro,
Mhm.
Andy Serkis,
Yep.
Peter Sarsgaard,
yeah. The Northman.
Sarsgaard.
Isn't
I forgot the D.
Isn't he in the
Yes,
Northman?
he's in the Northman. Barry Keoghan or something. I don't know. He's Irish.
Micah, you need to become more Irish.
But I'm not.
Yeah.
Directed by Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
Written by Matt Reeves
Yeah.
and Peter Greig.
Yeah.
And it also gives Bill Finger a credit here. He created the Batman.
No one cares about the creator of the character.
And who is it scored by, Robbie?
Michael Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino.
My favorite composer
Music by
in
Michael
modern
Giacchino.
cinema.
Cinematography by Greig Fraser.
The guy who did Dune.
The guy who did
That's what.
Dune.
Every time I hear Greg Fraser, I'm like, it's the guy who did Dune.
Robbie's like, it's the guy who filmed The Little Sandmouse.
Little Sandmouse. That's really what he should be known for. But yes, that's the Batman. I mean, I figure if you're listening to this in the year 2022, odds are you probably knew all that already. Maybe not some of the cinematography and stuff like that, but you probably knew most of that.
The Batman it's a
Very
big
large
production,
film.
and most of those actors are like really well-known actors.
Right. But anyway, that's all you need to know.
That is literally it. You don't need to know anything else.
Don't look any further into this movie.
Guys, don't look into this movie. Just listen to what we have to say.
Just listen to what we have to say. Get your information from one source.
We told you everything you need to know. We're your all-in-one place for movie news. You don't need to know anything else.
And without further ado, let's get into what we thought of the Batman.
So if you had to sum it up in not so many words, what were your thoughts on the Batman?
I've liked Matt Reeves' work in the past. From what I've seen of it anyway, I've only seen 2 of his films.
He's only directed 5 films.
Yeah. But this is pretty much what I expected from his take on a Batman movie. It's very dark, grounded, and not in a bad way. Like Nolan's to draw a parallel. Nolan's Batman trilogy is very
Dark, but
militaristic in a way.
Yes, very.
And this is not that, but it's more pulpy crime than that is.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. It's got a nice tone. I adore Michael Giacchino's score for this movie. That's honestly probably my favorite part about watching it. Greig Fraser's cinematography gives me a little bit of anxiety about how they shot any of this, because it's all very precise and very shallow, and like not in a bad way, like shallow depth of focus.
Where he's like, oh, it's so shallow.
So shallow. But no, the movie looks great. The visual storytelling is great.
Dude, they lit that one scene with actual muzzle flash.
The lighting is great. I don't know, the direction's great. Robert Pattinson in this might actually be my favorite role that I've ever seen of his. He's killing it here. Yeah, I haven't seen him in too much, but like Tenet, I guess
Harry
Twilight,
Potter, Twilight.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
and Lost City of Zed. Oh, I love his role in Lost City.
He is great in Lost City of Zed, but I think he's really the standout of the cast in this, like pretty easily. There's some other good performances too. I like dang it, I can't remember his name. You just said it too.
Jeffrey Wright?
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright. How'd you know it was Jeffrey Wright?
I don't know.
He's really good in this too.
I figured out of all the names that I went over, Jeffrey Wright would be the one you'd forget.
Yeah. But yeah, no, those are both really good. I'm a little disappointed, I will say, in Paul Dano in this. It seems like he's kind of not taking too many risks in his performance here. Like it's a pretty basic, like it's kind of like a Criminal Minds level performance, and I'm a little disappointed.
Okay, that's a bit
like
harsh.
A good episode of Criminal Minds, but like it's like that. Like I'm just a little sad because I've loved Paul Dano in almost everything I've seen him in, and to see him like not at his A game here in one of the biggest movies he's done, makes me a little sad.
I don't know. I really like all of his scenes in like
he's good
in person. I think it's just because he's mostly over in little recordings, and he's doing such a goofy voice that it kind of...
I was about to say, I don't think the phone stuff works really all that well, like, just from his performance. But, what are you going to do?
I still love his line delivery.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but I just think it could have been better. I was a little disappointed. What else to mention? The action here is great. The editing's great. Production design is amazing. I don't know. It's just a really solid movie. Really, the biggest problem I have with it, if I were to like just pinpoint something, is I think this has been my case every time I've watched the movie. I watched it 3 times now. I think the main mystery that the movie centers around is just way too scattered and muddy to be as involved as it wants you to be, like, with it throughout the course of the film. I still think it's engaging and I still think it's great, but I just wish it was a bit more emotionally cohesive and a bit more narratively cohesive as a mystery. That's pretty much it, though.
Well, yeah, that's. I mean, we're done. That was the podcast episode. We've done it all.
Of the Batman?
No, we've said it all.
Wow.
That was lengthy. Okay. I really loved the Batman. I very much agree with you about Nolan's Batman in terms of I really love what Nolan's Batman is doing, but it always does feel very military, like cold and harsh in a way. And I really love that this dives into, and the reason I compare them is Nolan's Batman's one of the only other like superhero movies I think comes close tonally, and also on the same level with The Dark Knight, like, because The Dark Knight's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But I really love what this movie does. I really love movies that are a lot more grimy and get into a lot more like up close and personal filmmaking, which, like you said, the cinematography in this is so, like you said, like shallow in its depth, and that's really, really cool in this movie. Robert Pattinson's eyeballs can act.
Right.
Just his eyeballs. We mostly just see his eyeballs.
Testament, man.
And he does so much emotion with just his eyeballs. It's actually insane. I really love pretty much all the performances in this. I can see where Robbie's coming from with Paul Dano. It's definitely not his best performance.
No.
It's the worst performance I've seen from him, but I still really love it. And there's a lot to dissect here. I think that it's really interesting, if just for one, and I think it's a big praise to the movie and how I feel about it, that it's 3 hours long, and just about any audience that I've seen go into it has not been bored. And most audiences that I have talked to are like, a 3-hour movie? Ugh.
People are hesitant for a 2-hour movie nowadays.
Right?
What's up with that?
So the fact that like I've seen no one, even my girlfriend with ADHD, complain about the 3-hour runtime is really impressive coming from the movie.
No, it's an excellently paced movie, man.
It's a very methodical and melodical movie.
Whoa.
And
Melodic.
yes, melodical. I get, yeah.
All right.
It's got good music is what I was going for
Okay.
there. And it's paced very well with its music, edited with its music extremely well, which I very much appreciate.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoy being in this movie. I could be in the movie for so much longer. And
Right.
without getting into too much specific stuff, that's kind of how I feel about it. I love what it's doing in every way, but it does have some like weird things, and it feels like the most up close and personal Batman movie in a very, very good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that was our spoiler-free, I guess, discussion of the Batman. So now we're gonna go into our more in-depth thoughts. Start singing Kurt Cobain on the pod.
Not Kurt Cobain.
But yes, here we are. What do you want to talk about first, Micah?
I do want to say what I accidentally forgot to mention in there. I rated this 4.5, 5, and then 4.5, and the 3 times I've logged it.
Okay, I actually did change my rating too. I rated it 5, 4.5, 4.5. So.
Which I think 4.5 is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Again, the 5 is kind of just like an obligatory, like this is just a movie I really like rating for me. There's not too much difference in quality between my 5s and my 4.5s, but you can definitely tell that like Robbie said, and I think that is honestly one of the biggest problems, which is interesting for you to get it to in our opening bit.
Sorry, I have a solid opinion on the Batman, I guess.
Is that the mystery is kind of, it's so muddled, and I actually kind of wanted to talk about that, because like, what is going on with the mystery, you know?
Dude,
like,
it's so confusing.
Like most mysteries in movies are very solid. A lot of mysteries are usually happening, like have happened already. So to be fair, we have something actively happening.
Yes.
So we have this actively playing out. But what is like the mystery? He's just like, ooh, rat. Like Rat is on his second kill that he's like, there's a rat. Find the rat.
Find the rat.
Bring him into the light. That was in the maze on the second kill. And then it, like, I don't know, like, where do we go from there?
Yeah, no, it's just, it feels kind of contrived at points, like when, I don't know, it just feels like a weak mystery at the center of it all, really. No,
and I think that plays into a lot of like what you were saying with the fact that I don't think the phone call stuff really works as well as it should. Because take something, and I know this is based on real life, so it doesn't work as well, but take something like Zodiac, something that this clearly grabs inspiration from.
Yeah.
The Zodiac mystery is one that was so, like the Zodiac killer did such a good job of, like, essentially not getting caught until extremely recently. Like, literally, it was last year or something that they were ridiculous. Like, we found out who the actual Zodiac killer was. And the way that the mystery plays out in Zodiac is so, how to put
enthralling.
Enthralling, I guess, is a way. But also, like, it feels so much more rich. Again, I know it's based on, like, an actual murder case. But, like, you never feel like you're just getting, like, goofy messages from Paul Dano.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mentioned Criminal Minds earlier, but it really does kind of feel like it's just going through the motions of a serial killer plot line most of the time. Not most of the time, like a few times throughout its runtime.
Which is kind of sad.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, like, man, the opening killing scene from Riddler is one of my favorites.
Oh my goodness.
Like, just in general. And like I said, anytime Riddler is there in person, I think it works so well. But definitely. Paul Dano, quite frankly, is a really fantastic physical actor.
He is, yeah.
Heck, have you watched There
I was about to say, go watch There Will Be Blood.
He looks completely different in between the two characters he plays.
You're right, though. When he's in person, it is much better.
When he's killing people, it works really well. When he's in the prison, it works really well. because I love the prison scene with them.
Yeah, no, that's good.
But when he's over the phone, you're just not like he's got the mask on. You're not
It
seeing very
seems
much
like
of
a
him.
vague caricature of is that how you say it? I don't know.
Caricature.
of his like performance in other scenes. Like he seems like he's like overacting to try and get it across on a phone, you know?
Yeah, and like it's a really weird decision in general to make him like FaceTime call
Yeah.
and live stream so much. Like I get what they were going
Yeah.
for with it. Like I mean, Matt Reeves was like, yeah, he's just supposed to be like that gross like internet dude. Like it's a very modern villain.
Yeah, very much.
Modern take on him.
Yeah. I don't think it lands very well.
But I do think, honestly, as much as I love the Riddler in this, that element is one of its weakest parts because the story itself is so sprawling. And honestly, even on the first viewing, like take when they found out that Falcone was like the rat, I was like,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah, right. I'm like, no, dude, I was so unfamiliar with the Batman canon. I was trying to keep straight who Maroni was, who Falcone
No,
was.
Robbie, not
And I'm like, wait a
Maroni and
minute, wait a minute. Hold on now. What are you
was
saying?
like, how was Falcone the rat and the Maroni?
I was so confused the first time I watched it, and that's just me being dumb. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's not that confusing
of
of a movie. No, I just it's they introduce so many players and then like try and interweave this narrative that happens in the past
Yeah.
that you're not really that invested in outside of because like your real stakes are like in the present with Batman.
Yeah, honestly, I think one of my biggest problems with this in general, and it kind of plays into how I feel about the Riddler, is that a lot of this feels, and as much as I think this movie is really, really good, love this movie, a lot of this feels like it's going through a lot of the Batman motions, like in a really, really cool way.
Yeah.
But even take like the Penguin. Him in this is so weird, and that final shot of him while Batman is like talking over always bothers me, and I don't know why. Like I'm like, oh, this feels so weird. I don't like it.
I don't know. I like how Penguin's involved in this.
I love
like
the Penguin character, and I think
Yeah.
his inclusion is great.
Yeah, I think he's actually one of the more tastefully peppered in characters in this movie.
But like, there's something about the way all of the characters are presented, I guess, that really feels there's some element of it. Even Batman, even Bruce, even though this is my favorite interpretation of Bruce Wayne in any movie, I love that he's not like some goofy buys out a hotel with his models that he doesn't care about Batman. Bruce Wayne in almost any other Batman movie is really whacked out.
You don't think this one's whacked out, Mike?
No, but he's like this is how I actually would imagine a extremely rich young man who spends 90% of his time beating people up in the middle of the night.
What a nice looking young man. I hope he doesn't try and stop crime in Gotham.
He's not like, so he's not like, hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. He's like, man, I have no energy to be outside. I'm going to be moody and wear bad clothes because I'm rich.
Wow. But you were saying
Yeah, I don't know. No, to what I was saying.
Okay.
The characters, like Catwoman, and all of that, like, because these are some of my favorite elements of it. But there's something about the way the entire movie presents itself, in terms of its characters, that kind of, I don't know, it gives me a weird feeling.
Weird vibe, Micah.
Weird vibe.
I mean, fair enough.
I was going to ask you though.
Okay.
About Catwoman. What do you think of her plot, her thread, her character, her performance?
I think in the context of this movie, I think she serves as a cool foil to Batman, which I mean she always has, like in just about everything.
That's like her purpose.
That's like her entire shtick. And I think serves that purpose well in this movie. She doesn't always click for me as a character in this. Like, I don't know, just it something about it feels kind of shallow. I don't know.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, kind of plot devicey at times, which I'm not a fan of. But it's not like egregious enough that it really stands out all that much. Like Zoe Kravitz gives a fun performance.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's because all of these actors are so good that something feels so shallow about most of their performances to me.
Yeah, it's something feels off.
If it's
I
the
don't know.
writing of them or something.
It could very well be the writing.
Because Bruce doesn't feel that way.
No,
but
yeah.
he doesn't have that much dialogue. Most of his acting is in his eyeballs.
Right, and he kills it. It's good stuff. But yeah, I don't know. As for like from a story perspective, I don't know. She's a good inclusion, I think, in concept, but in execution, I think it was a little weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they just could have done like more with her character.
Yeah.
She does not feel involved in like the mystery, and the whole thing was like, oh, this all ties in. And yeah, I get it. She's friends with Annika. Well, quote unquote friends with Annika. Sure,
it's kind of funny.
But like, she finds Annika, and that's about it. Then she's like, they have that scene. They find Annika's body. Car chase. It doesn't have anything to do with her after that. She takes the money. Then she's gone for forever. Then she's like, oh, I found the guy, the cop, who had Annika's body. Let's kill him. And then she leaves. And then she just like hops in at the very end.
She's more involved with the main mystery than like the Riddler is, I guess.
Robbie, the Riddler's the one proprietor.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like the whole like drug bust thing, that stuff back in the past, since she's Falcone's daughter. Like,
yeah.
But I don't know. It's all the involvement with like all the characters' involvement in the like drug bust stuff feels so contrived for some reason. So I don't know. It's
yeah, and I mean,
strange.
one of the complaints I actually saw about the movie was even Gordon's character, which I love Jeffrey Wright's performance
Jeffrey
as
Wright
Gordon.
rocks in this, man.
But like they were like, it's really weird the way all the cops are written except for Gordon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like there's such a weird dissonance between like all the cops and Gordon, which you get it. Gordon's supposed to be like, you know, the good one.
Yeah, yeah.
But like at the same time, he's like, oh my gosh, everyone around me is corrupt. He's been in the police force for like 20 years,
Right.
and all of them know, like all of them are like, yeah, we're under his foot except for him. Like what? What's going on?
Why has nothing been done about this?
Why were they like, yeah, the one guy we want to make sure stays clean, Jim Gordon.
Yeah. No, it is. That's the thing. I love this movie, but it's peppered with so many things like that just kind of bother me while I'm watching it. That I would struggle to give this a 5.
Yeah.
know?
I think the reason I gave it a 5 was just like it works really well all together.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Like when you watch the movie,
Look as a holistic piece.
as a movie, it's super satisfying. It's super engaging. It's really fun. It has some
Yeah.
of the best action, which I did want to talk
Oh
about.
my gosh, the
in a
action's so
superhero
good.
movie in general, but just like in a movie that I've seen in a while.
Right?
It's name another superhero movie with this good of action.
That's so good.
Definitely not the Nolan Batman. Poor Nolan doesn't know how to shoot
Oh my gosh.
hand-to-hand fights.
Dude. Man, the action in this is really good though.
Dude, the way the camera, really, I was just, it's so satisfying every time, and maybe I'm just like adjusted to bad action, but like the way the camera doesn't move when he's actually like, it doesn't like move away to do weird camera tricks when he's punching people. I'm like, I can actually see what's going on.
Yay.
But yeah, what do you think? Oh, well, here, I'll have you ask a question, because since I have been asking all the questions.
Oh, I was just going to mention what I thought of the action. I think it's really great.
Oh, yeah.
If you can count the car chase as an action sequence, which I would.
I mean, people usually count
Yeah.
stuff like that as action.
I think that's honestly one of the best sequences in the whole movie.
I really guess
It's
I'm
electric, man.
I guess I'm
My
desensitized
goodness.
to car chases or something. Like,
I thought I was, and then that rolled along.
no, you know SpongeBob in that episode where the Flying Dutchman starts living at his house.
Uh-huh.
That one scene where he's just tired of it.
Wow.
That's me at most car chase
You're
scenes.
not a fan of
even
the car
this.
chase scene?
I don't think I've ever liked like
How
a
dare
single
you.
car chase.
How dare you?
Like car chases are just so boring. I don't feel any tension or danger in a car chase scene. No matter
Micah,
the ones.
the car chase in this is great because the car sounds scary.
Hey, but the fire effect was practical.
That's crazy.
They just had a big old flame shooting out the back.
Big old flames. Sounds dangerous. But yeah, no, I just wanted to mention that specifically. I think it's great.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a really, like, as car chases go, it's really cool. I just never really feel anything from
I
like
see.
car chases. But man, talk about Colin Farrell's performance though.
Oh yeah, Colin
Farrell is almost unrecognizable as Colin Farrell. I don't think anybody would just be like, "Hey, look, it's Colin Farrell." The amount of prosthetic makeup he has on is insane.
The more I've watched this, the more I've been able to see Colin Farrell. I think in like a decade.
There.
I think in like a decade or so, I'll be like, yeah, Colin Farrell, easy.
Wait, first you think he's gonna look like that in a decade, Remy?
No, that's not what I meant.
No, I get it, yeah, because like I mean, obviously it's still him. It's still his eyes. It's still his mouth. So it still is.
But like the first time I watched this, I almost didn't recognize him. But yeah, no, he's kind of beyond just the makeup. He's given a pretty great performance.
Yeah, he has some of my favorite line deliveries in the movie. Come on. Yeah. No, I love that. But did you have a question?
I mean, I was trying to think of something. I don't really have anything like else that I wanted to like specifically draw attention to.
We've been talking about it for like 5 minutes.
I know, but like I mentioned a lot of the stuff that I already wanted to like talk about.
Oh, fine. What's your favorite scene or sequence?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I think what I'll probably remember this movie for in like a couple decades, like looking back, I'll probably just remember the car chase scene and the opening murder, which are both absolutely fantastic. I'm trying to think of a good like Batman scene from this, which I mean like most of them are good, which is why it's like hard to pick out a favorite. Maybe I guess the opening sequence in general is just really fantastic.
Yeah,
like the Halloween night.
What I was gonna say
sequence,
for mine was pretty much the entire opening up until like after he investigates like the first murder.
Yeah,
because I love the investigation scene too.
Yeah, the entire opening like 15 minutes of this movie.
Like
is
the entire opening like 20
amazing.
to 30 minutes is just absolutely so tight and so good.
Right. Yeah, so that would probably be.
Dude, I wish we see. This is another thing with the Riddler. Like the Riddler's opening is so good and almost horror inspired, and then the rest of the time he's like, "Hey guys, I'm on the phone.
Hey
how are you doing?" Why wasn't he like more like he said he wasn't physical, but man, the physical presence he has in that scene is insane.
They give him such a threatening physical presence and then limit him to just the phone for like half of this movie.
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of the things that feels most disappointing about watching the Riddler play out is that you see him get so like intense and physical and like threatening in the couple scenes that he's actually in person doing the murdering.
Yeah.
Even in the scene where he puts the bomb on, is that the DA? Yeah, I think it's the DA.
Well, I don't remember. No, it's not something like that.
like he just has such good physical presence, but then anytime he interacts with Batman himself, he's like, "Hello, Batman. I'm coming to you from my phone," which like just feels kind of underwhelming, especially when he's interacting with his main like foil as a character.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the whole thing is that from this movie is that he was directly inspired to start doing this because of Batman.
Yeah,
and like he sees him as working with Batman throughout this movie. So like, why don't we have like, why isn't there more connection with them?
Yeah, no, I mean that's pretty much my opinion
But
too.
I was about to say there can't be any connection because it's all over the phone.
Yeah.
You can't really have much of a good chemistry between actors if it's
I guess if I had to pick something to talk about, what did you think of the cinematography on not only a aesthetics level but a visual storytelling level, Micah?
but I like the aesthetic.
How did Greg Fraser do? Our boy.
I really like Greg Fraser. I can't think of any other movies I've seen from him, like just Dune and Batman.
Yeah,
There might be something else, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure this is the only two we've seen of his.
But Dune captures a very, very nice.
Oh, he did Rogue One.
Interesting.
So what? Okay.
Dune captures a grand sense in a lot of ways that I really, really love.
Yes.
But also can come down for a lot of these moments. But this movie is a lot more always kind of tight and in. And I really appreciate that for the story that it's telling.
Yeah.
Because if this was shot normally, I honestly
Quote normal.
Well, you know what I mean by
Yeah,
normal.
yeah,
Like a normal superhero movie. Sorry. Good cinematography isn't normal these days,
Right.
Revy. If this was shot like any other superhero movie, I don't think it would work as well at all. It wouldn't be nearly as engaging. I don't think the story would come across nearly as well. I don't think you would be invested in the weird mystery at all without the cinematography. like honestly, the cinematography does a lot of heavy lifting in this in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, man, there are so many shots that punctuate everything so well, and the editing goes along with this. The editing is really good.
I know, like, I think it's great, but it just makes me, like, it makes me laugh because somehow Dune has even better cinematography and editing than this.
But see, Dune is miles ahead of this movie in my mind, but I'm a big Dune fan.
You're a big Dune fan. Honestly, I think his work here, Greg Fraser's work here, is a bit it's a bit more difficult. Like, he had a much more difficult task than Dune in a lot of ways. Like, obviously Dune is a much different set of problems when you're shooting something, but this introduces a lot of smaller elements that you have to try and grab. But I think for the most part it's good.
So I put this when
Great
I first
even.
watched it, that I love that the whole movie kind of has a dreamlike quality to it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that plays from the cinematography in terms of the fact that anything that is not important kind of gets misted away.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography is so dialed in. Also shout out to whoever that was on Twitter who pointed out that cool shot. It does like this wide outside of the iceberg lounge, and the light is on in Riddler's apartment, and you can see his silhouette.
Of course.
It was cool. I liked that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just a solid movie for real. It's good stuff.
I did have another big thing that I remembered that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
One of my least favorite parts of the entire movie is the ending.
Okay.
Not the ending, but like the ending.
The epilogue kind of thing.
No, like the blow up the seaboard.
Really?
Flood Gotham.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't work for me. I don't like it. I don't like it as a conclusion for the Riddler story. It doesn't work that well for me. I think it's kind of weak sauce. I don't really like the whole sequence in the stadium. I mean, I like the other, like the Riddler copycat thing. I love the whole "I'm vengeance" scene.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, I don't know. The flooding feels so lifeless in terms of its physical presence in the movie.
No, I would definitely say that that entire finale feels kind of watered down.
Watered. The city is flooding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know, but I do agree with what you're saying though. Of the Riddler's ploys, I think that one is the most like laughable,
Yeah.
like in the context of the movie, you know?
Like I guess what bothers me about it too is a lot of the things about like the Gotham villains, the Gotham selection of villains is usually the one thing that they do really really well is get like quote unquote intimate with the main protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
and this was just completely
Yeah.
separated from everything. Like we have this big mystery all about like a rat has to do pretty deeply with Bruce. He is specifically connected to Batman. At least you're getting like you're like the threads are connected.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna flood the entire city, and then it happens.
And you're like,
and
oh,
you're like what?
okay. I guess this is happening
Okay.
now.
Thousands dead, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really show.
Yeah, no, it is I think it is an odd choice for a finale. I wish it was a bit more like directly caused by anything else like in the movie.
Yeah, and even the blowing up stuff in the Dark Knight Rises, like the bombs setting off around the
Knight
city,
Rises, yes.
works really well.
Yes.
For Bane, because Bane is not he's not a up close and like I mean he's up close and personal, but he's not he's not a
He's not gonna take on the entire First Order by himself.
well no like he's not like specifically connected that deeply to the Batman. He's like,
Yeah.
yes, the city of Gotham must change.
Yeah.
But gosh, I just forgot what I was gonna say. I had something to say.
The flooding doesn't work. The bombs do work. Why? I don't know
it
why.
was something that didn't have to do with that. Because I was going to say that real quick before I got
Oh,
off
okay,
track and
okay.
lost that.
Okay.
But now I lost what else I was going to say.
Dang. Yeah, I don't know. Man, this movie makes me want to watch The Dark Knight again. I love that movie. It's big shocker. A guy who claims to like movies and has a Letterboxd account likes The Dark Knight.
Oh. I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
Okay, so I was like, the only reason I can see it making sense for them wanting to do the whole flooding thing was the one metaphor they do for like the Batman like getting baptized essentially. Like he dies to vengeance and rises as the
Yeah.
Batman. When he cuts the cord with the electricity, falls into the water, rises back up, and then people actually are like following him. That's it.
No, that I thought that was pretty obvious.
That's cool, but
Yeah.
like
I wish the flood itself was a bit more mystery, like central mystery related, like a
right, like
Evan Almighty situation.
Oh no, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like that they were planning it more. That like we had any idea that this was going to happen before it did.
Yeah,
and because I think it's really neat that like you have that tying element from the carpet tool thingy from the very first scene he's in to where the big plot is revealed. I think that's neat, but that's like one tie-in, and that's just to the reveal. You don't have actually like I think that's what it is about the mystery. It alludes to being a really well connected and tied around mystery.
Yeah.
When it actually the reasoning behind the mystery and the individual tiny elements don't make much sense.
Yeah. No, it's just kind of strange, really.
But yeah, that's always the weakest part of the film for me is that entire last part, and I'm like, eh.
And then everything else is great.
Yeah, no, and I really love this movie, and literally all of this works super well, except for like in a viewing sequence, except for that for me, except for the big flood.
I would agree.
Is the only time I'm not invested in the movie. And again, this is 3 hours. even though I'm not like, oh, I can't watch long movies. That's still a good length. That's a long time for it to never feel long.
Right. But yeah, no. I mean, I didn't really. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we called it an episode on the Batman?
I mean, just maybe some kind of like any other
Any
performances or
fun
anything,
notes?
any fun little things. Alfred, what do you think? Like this take on Alfred.
I appreciate Andy Serkis's performance in this. I wish he was in the movie more.
Yeah, again,
it's a 3-hour runtime
like,
and we hardly get to see him.
I feel like he's again like most of the characters, like Catwoman, like all of them. They're kind of going a little bit through like the Batman motions because like Andy Serkis, he's such a good actor, And like I feel like he isn't given much here, and he's just like, Bruce, I'm not your father.
Is that how Andy Serkis sounds?
Yes. And then he's like, I lied to you, Bruce.
Wow. Although I will say, for what little time he is there, he's pretty great.
No, his performance is really great, but I
Yeah.
feel like again the character just isn't given that much.
Yeah.
Did I ever actually comment on Catwoman? I asked you about Catwoman.
I don't think you said.
I don't
I don't think you ever said
what
anything.
I thought. I just realized that now. Yeah.
What do you think of Catwoman, Micah?
I really like Zoe Kravitz as an actress. She's a great actress. Shout out to Kimmy.
Oh my
She
gosh,
gives
she's
such a
so
good
good in
performance
Kimmy.
in that. And we had just watched like the Batman and Kimmy really close to next to each other, and I think it kind of made me sad how much it feels like this character is almost flat compared to Kimmy.
Right.
Or not Kimmy. The character's name isn't Kimmy.
What is her name?
I don't
Angela?
Something
Is it
like
Angela? I think that sounds right.
that. Like the performance of her character in Kimmy feels super in depth and super real, even though it's a teeny tiny little script.
Boom, it was Angela.
Whereas in
yeah.
this, I feel like it's like it's Catwoman.
What?
The way she walks in this movie is unhinged. She is doing the catwalk walk every time.
I mean, what else? If I was playing Catwoman, that's how how else are you gonna play it, Micah? You're telling me if you got cast as Catwoman, you wouldn't walk
No,
like
I
that?
would walk like that.
Exactly.
I would. And like I like her individual performance, but at the same time it feels again like a lot of the elements in this movie, if you really look close, they feel kind of flat and maybe even a little contrived. Because I like her in this, and I think she has really good chemistry with Robert Pattinson. I really enjoyed seeing them together, and I also enjoyed a director who cared to do like the bat and the cat well. Which is funny because like Matt Reeves too, like every time somebody posted a joke about it, because like Matt Reeves was like, at this point here, like the car chase actually, he was like, see, after he thinks Selena is in danger, that's when he gets into the car, and that's why the fight's so intense, because Oz threatens Selena, and somebody was like retweeted it, quote tweeted it, and was like, Matt Reeves anytime he can. This really shows how much Bruce loves Selena.
Right. But yeah, no. I will say I do appreciate her various wigs throughout this movie.
Oh, the wigs are nice.
Quite nice. The way the one gets ripped off like
in the fight
scene,
yeah,
it's pretty funny.
I wonder if that was intentional. Like I really do, because it's not like nobody's like grabbing it or anything. She's just like dodging out of the way and it flies off.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think she's a fun performance. I think most of the performances in this movie are really fun, but they're just like it's weird because the movie works so well as a whole. But like most of the elements, if you look closely, are like not as good as they could be.
It's greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Anything else? I'm not a fan of the epilogue, I guess. I don't know what like. It's not a post-credit scene. It probably could have been a post-credit scene.
The Joker
Arkham
thing?
Stuff. Yeah. No, I'm like, eh.
Man, I got a mosquito bite on the back of my
Mosquito
leg.
bite. What is there a mosquito in the studio? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Robbie's like allergic to mosquito. I'm like I like vaguely itch from mosquito bites for like 30 minutes. Robbie like dies from mosquito bites.
But yeah, no. What else? Yeah, I was saying I didn't like the Arkham stuff. I just think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It doesn't mesh that well with the end of the movie to me.
Dude, I'm so glad they cut the scene with him in it.
Oh my
though.
gosh.
Like, because it's a fun scene.
I haven't watched it.
But like, that would have been like it would have just completely destroyed the tightness that is carrying this movie.
Right.
Everything is so dialed in, and if you would have broken that up just for Joker to briefly be like, I'm Barry Hogan, it would have not been that great.
Wow.
Because yeah, again, it feels kind of tacked on the end, which is sad.
Yeah.
Because I really like both of those actors. Those are two of my favorite like actors that haven't been in much. like out there.
Yeah.
My favorite creepy dudes. And like it just was like, okay. Outside, like the only reason I got super excited about it in the movie is I just didn't know Barry was going to be playing the Joker. I didn't know he was going to be in it, and then I heard his voice, and I was like, yeah.
I can't believe you recognized him from his voice. I don't know.
I very recognizable.
I didn't recognize him. I feel bad now.
I mean, he didn't have like his accent because again, he's usually got a pretty like thick accent, but it still sounds like him.
Yeah.
And most stuff I've seen him in, he's not using his accent.
Yeah. No, I just didn't recognize him. And Micah's like, "Did you see that there at the end?" I'm like, "Who? What?" Shout out to our theater for being all decked out for the theater, Batman when we went.
The theater was the most decked out of any theater I saw. Like I saw a bunch of people post like, "Oh, going to see the Batman," and like the entire IMAX half, because they have like it's not like they call it NCG Extreme. Like with an X, and it's like a completely different half of the theater. You have to walk down a long hallway to get over to this other half of the theater building. And like the entire half was just completely decked out in Batman stuff, and it had like they had red lighting.
They had
going.
The lights.
They had the whole spray painted out like clue board on the wall. Mm-hmm. It was really cool, actually. It was
very cool. It's so funny. I said in my review last night when we watched it before recording this that it's kind of lost a bit of its luster every time I've seen it, but I keep watching it on smaller screens.
We went IMAX, normal theater, living room.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that contributes a little to it.
See, and I think that also kind of shows what I was saying earlier with Dune, just as a movie that's recent, that I also feel is like kind of pulpy, but I can compare it to. Dune has not lost any of its luster for me, even watching it at home.
I actually liked it better at home.
This last time we watched, watching Dune in IMAX was like life-changing.
I'm just saying I liked it better. Not that it was better at home.
I was in stunned amazement at Dune in IMAX. Oh. I was living my best life. But like no, Dune this last time we watched it, I still had like chills the entire time. I was still like super drawn in. I still almost jumped at Paul screaming in the tent. Like as a difference between watching it at home and watching it in theaters, Dune definitely holds up more than the Batman.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think Dune's just better.
Yeah, I was about to say I would argue that Dune's a better movie, so kind of stating the obvious, Micah.
But yeah, I don't really have much more I want to say.
Where does to round us off? It's your final rating, and where does it land on this year?
I gave it a 4.5, and it lands on the number 2 slot, just behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I would like to do on the podcast.
Alrighty, I gave it a 4.5, and it lands number 3 on mine, below Everything Everywhere All at Once and Kimmy. So,
yeah, Kimmy's number 4 for me.
Fair
my top 5 right now for 2022 is Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Batman, The Bad Guys, Kimmy, and Turning Red.
The Batman, The Bad Guys.
Shout out to The Bad Guys.
I guess I'll list my top 5. Everything Everywhere All at Once, Kimmy, The Batman, Apollo 10.5, and The House is my top 5 so far.
The House and Apollo 10.5 just don't make my top 5.
But yeah, The Batman, good movie. Go watch it. Give it a try. See if you like it.
Let's get into our what we watched.
Absolutely.
Hey howdy hey kids. For those of you who don't know, the What We Watched segment is this cool and groovy segment at the end where we talk about everything that we logged in between episodes.
Crazy. We're already an hour and 15 minutes in, and we're still going. We're doing another segment.
Oh my gosh. Why don't we just end? Why don't we turn us off? Why don't you?
I won't do it.
Cut the podcast. Anyway, we're starting from the 18th. That was the last episode came out on the 18th. And that day, that very same afternoon, I decided to watch PTA's masterpiece. It doesn't describe...
Who's PTA?
Paul Thomas Anderson's masterpiece, but which one, you may ask? Phantom Thread.
Gotta watch all of them.
I watched Phantom Thread. I rewatched Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread, man.
My favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie so far.
My goodness. It's so
I
good.
will say that when I watched this, I had to like stop it for an hour twice, due to unrelated events, which was sad because the movie is so tight. But man, it's such a good movie. Everything about it is so good. The way it builds its tension, the way it flips its power, the way it's shot, the way it's edited, the way the actors are, the way the performance is. Like literally everything about this movie I think is perfect. It's
Yeah,
one
I
of the
mean,
it's
yeah.
one of the nicest looking movies I've ever seen too. I don't know what they did to the film, man, like what they shot on, but this thing is grainy and it looks so good.
No, I honestly, it's top tier. Paul Thomas Anderson. It's good
I
stuff.
gave it 5 stars.
Whoa.
What did we watch that night?
We watched the new Richard Linklater movie,
Yeah,
Apollo 10.5,
yeah.
A Space Age Childhood.
Rotoscope or whatever.
Yeah, like a Scanner Darkly for those familiar.
Weird.
It was good. I liked it a lot.
I I will commend it for the fact that it is really, really engaging throughout.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like the idea of what it's going for, but I just wish it was just like a straight up like wacky documentary because like all of the kid stuff, all of the plot stuff was kind of meh.
Yeah, I said in my review that Apollo 10.5, like the 10.5 part, is easily the weakest thing here.
But when it's just Jack Black narrating about these guys' lives in the 60s, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, you're like, this is like the greatest movie ever made. Very chill.
I gave it 3.5.
I gave it a 4.5. I thought it was fantastic.
I thought it was good.
On the 19th,
On the okay, yeah.
I watched the new Owen Wilson movie
Oh boy.
with it called "Marry Me," directed by Koiro. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry. But anyway, yes. I think it's funny that Jennifer Lopez's character in this is named Kat after I assume the director.
Oh no.
And I'm like, is this like a self-insert thing here?
Oh,
What's
no.
going on? But yeah, Marry Me.
Scary.
It was pretty good. It was cute, I guess. There were some really bad editing, like egregiously bad editing, and some bad pacing too. But other than that, I think most of the elements in this actually work pretty well as a rom-com. One of the better recent rom-coms I can think of, but not great. I give it a 3.5.
Then what did you? Yeah, you watched that too.
This barely counts as feature length. I watched my first Werner Herzog. Yeah, I don't know why I said Herzog. Weird. My first Werner Herzog movie.
There's a lot of E's in his name.
It is How Much Wood Would a Woodchuck Chuck, and it is about auctioneers, and they it's basically documenting a competition of auctioneers, and that's pretty much the whole thing. But it's very cool.
I was about to say he's a very unique and cool documentary filmmaker.
Yeah,
I love his stuff that I've seen.
I'm definitely interested to see more of his stuff. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Thought it was great.
Then on the 20th, I watched Hail Caesar.
Hail Caesar. We did a whole episode on it.
Joel and Ethan Coen, we did an episode on it. It's still one of like it really. I mean, we talked about it becoming a movie like that, but it really has become one of those movies that like if I'm in the mood for like a fun movie, I'm like Hail Caesar. Boom.
Easy.
It's so good. It's so much fun. The bits all work. The characters all work. I gave it 4 stars. It's a good movie.
Solid film.
Then on the night of the 20th, we watched Coherence.
Yes.
Indie 2013 film.
Indeed.
And I kind of loved it.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't really know anything about it going into it, and it kind of blew me out of the water. It was great.
The filmmaking in it alone is really, really impressive.
Right.
Really, the only thing that I didn't like about it was the ending, and even then, like everything about this keeps you so invested and is so disorienting and so much fun. It's just a really, really neat movie. I forgot about that line. Somebody put the quote from Coherence: "If there are a million different realities, I've slept with your wife in every single one of them."
I can't believe that's a real line
That's
from
a
this
real
movie.
line.
my goodness, man.
I love I love that. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was it genuinely really impressed me and surprised me with what it was doing.
Yeah, it kind of a testament to indie filmmaking as a whole. The
Right.
camera work is pretty impressive.
The camera work, the editing, the pacing,
Yeah.
the writing. It's really, really a neat movie.
Indeed.
Then on the 21st, I watched La La Land, which I love.
La La
Gave it
Land.
5 stars.
I don't think we've done an episode on La La Land.
I watched Jurassic World just cause, and you know, it's fine. It's
Fine movie.
It's fine. I don't know. I love Jurassic Park, and I even love the whole trilogy. But like the Jurassic World movies, they're fine. I give it 3 stars. Then also on the 21st, I watched the Road to El Dorado, which is very funny, and it's got really good animation.
It's a very funny movie.
I enjoy it quite a bit, and you should all go watch Breadsword's video about it.
Fair enough.
And then on the 22nd, what did we watch?
We watched, I believe, the Martin Scorsese 2016 film Silence.
Yeah.
And it was great.
It blew me out of the water.
My goodness, it was
Man, is Martin
so good.
It turns out Martin Scorsese is good director,
Turns
actually.
out that guy, Martin Scorsese, he knows how to direct a movie.
He knows how to write and direct. Crazy. Man, it was so good. Again, this is one of the few movies that I would actually describe as tore me to pieces.
So
by
good,
the
man.
end.
My goodness.
It's one of the most brutal films that I've watched. But man, what it accomplishes is so good, and the way it weaves its story, and even like its talk that it has about religion and colonization, and like everything that it dissects, it does with such class and understanding of filmmaking, and it does it in such a nice way that man, it's one of the best movies I've ever seen, I would say.
I mean, I would probably tend to agree. It's I don't know. It's a testament to Martin Scorsese's great direction,
dude, and Andrew Garfield's performance.
I was about to say I don't know. Just everything technically is here. It's so good.
Did this win any awards? I know you said it didn't get anything. It only got nominated for 1 Oscar, Best Achievement in Cinematography.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was just a little sad that Andrew didn't get a
The
nomination
fact that
here.
like Andrew or anything didn't get any nominations, or really anything else from this movie. Like the cinematography is fantastic, but like
This could have gotten editing. It could have gotten production design. It could have gotten costuming. It could have gotten so many things.
Best performance.
Yeah, but like, dang. I don't know. I think it's my new favorite Scorsese movie from what I've seen of his.
It's really close between this and The Aviator for me. I think The Aviator is still my favorite, but that's more just because The Aviator like really connects with me for some reason.
Fair enough.
Then also on the 22nd, though technically we slept in between, we watched The Bad Guys.
The Bad Guys.
New movie.
The Sam Rockwell furry movie.
Yeah. Dude, you know it's really funny to me too, and I know it's only because it's based off of the book and the book did this.
What?
But the fact that most of the populace is humans and then there are just some anthropomorphic talking animals, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's literally a furry universe. Like they've actually engineered a situation where furries are real.
It's pretty funny.
But
yeah, The Bad Guys. It was good.
It was really fun.
It was really good, yeah.
I love the animation. I think the animation is honestly the highlight of the movie. It's super smooth. It's super
I would
nice.
tend to agree. I was gonna say the cinematography, but like that's part of the animation.
Yeah, I mean the
case.
cinematography is really good, and I loved the performance. It's just a fun movie.
It's very fun. Fun romp.
There's some weird stuff in it. There's some stuff that's very like, ugh, really this again from an animated movie. But like it's overall a really enjoyable experience, and even Awkwafina is palatable in this.
Yay! More palatable Awkwafina content.
I gave it 4 stars.
I also gave it 4 stars.
Then on the 22nd, I watched Samurai I or Samurai 1.
Musashi
Miyamoto.
Yeah.
It's the first name, not Miyamoto. Is hard to pronounce, but I didn't. They don't even. That's not his name for most of the movie. Okay. It's the first of the Samurai trilogy. I think that's what it's known by. I'm not sure it's known by anything else. It's in the Criterion Collection, actually.
Yes.
And it was fun. It was fine. It was very weird. It had a very weird vibe going with it as a samurai movie. But I'm very interested to see the rest of the trilogy because it's very much a jumping off point. Like it felt very like everything was just getting to the point where we could have our character kick off on his big adventure. So yeah, I'll be very interested to watch the next ones, but I still can't get over that weird vibe that it had. I give it 3.5 stars.
And I didn't give it anything because I didn't watch it. It's, and then, did you watch anything on the 23rd?
Well,
okay.
That was on the way home.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
I watched Punch Drunk Love again on the 23rd. So, I don't know. I feel like I've mentioned it. I don't know, 100 times now. I've only seen the movie 3 times. But yeah, I love Punch Drunk Love. It's what I consider to be my favorite movie at the moment.
Punch Drunk Love.
And I don't know. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson's best movie. Call me crazy. But yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5. Like, pretty obviously, I think. But yeah, that was what we watched. Thank you for tuning in.
Paul Thomas Anderson, take all my money. Oh.
I'll give it to him. If make another movie, Paul Thomas Anderson. Release Licorice Pizza on Blu-ray.
But yeah, that's what we watched. The next movie that both of us watched was The Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was a pretty decent week.
That was it.
Go watch The Batman.
Go watch The Batman.
Go watch Silence if you want.
Because
if you want, because it's long and brutal to get through.
Right.
Go watch Coherence.
Go
watch
movie.
Phantom Thread.
It's like let's suggest all these rated R movies.
Go watch La La Land.
There we go.
Go watch The Bad Guys in theaters.
The Bad
Guys. Go support a very original movie in theaters.
Yes. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.